Oh, show boy.
I love it. This will be the first
Figured
and
it
last,
out.
but here we go.
All right then. I guess now we should be good to go.
Yeah, it's loading up. You're good.
Holy crap, we did it. Oh my gosh, let me mute this thing.
Let's go.
I hope
Y'all let
the audio is
the
fine.
most technologically challenged human being in this entire league start a stream. Hello, hi, MRL F1 drivers and other folks. Welcome. We're just doing a kickoff show here today, right? We're gonna cover just some predictions for this season. Thank you for being here. I'm really pumped for today. Got a couple guests with me. I'm Pugs. I got Mr. Mage here, our new no assist uh, commentator. Say what's up.
What's up?
Hey. And then I have the man that saved my ass today. I'm trying to put this together. I was just making like beep and boop noises at him to try to explain to him what I wanted to do here, and he made it all happen. So I appreciate it. Say what's up, MRK.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, dude? And then we got a principal. We got Mr. Sugar in the house, a new principal for this season. Gonna give us some feedback on what he's got going on for his team this season. Say what's up.
Hello, you guys. What's up?
Hey, hey. All right. So, again, huge day today. We got Singapore. Really looking forward to it. I expect it to be kind of wild. New drivers in a lot of tiers. A lot of guys that have never raced with each other. We could see some big fireworks today, but we're going to take a look at the whole season, right? So, season 5 or tier 5. Let's bring it up. What names, like what teams, what drivers kind of stand up to you? What give me Sugar, give me your top 3 on top 3 drivers for this season.
For this season, well, number one,
In,
I'm gonna have to give Giants fan a spot.
in tier 5,
And
tier 5.
oh, tier five. Sorry, my bad. For tier five, I don't really know that many people, but I think I think that maybe Corny Table might do good as well. I'm not sure his time trials, but from what I've seen so far, it looks like he might do well.
Okay.
Also, Pool Town, he seemed
Pool
pretty
Town.
good as well.
Yeah, well, Pool Town. So Pool Town was a guy who was just dropped. He was on that bubble for tier 4 and tier 5. We had some scheduling, we had some different things going on. So Pool Town actually went up to tier 4, and then to tier 5, we swapped back down. Who was it? I believe, was it Nikki G? Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure who dropped to tier 5. I don't remember. Chat might be able to help me out.
It's
But
Fugoda.
yeah, so Pool Town moved up to tier 4. Yeah.
Fugoda.
So I like that corny table. I like that corny table. Prediction there. Um, from what I remember, I couldn't like we didn't get to see him very much in that rookie race. He had a few accidents pretty quickly. I think that was the same guy, but not not a bad pick at all. Um, let's see. And we had Semtex join us. Hey, what's up, Semtex? Say what's up.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Good. So we're talking about your people. This is
My
this is
people.
the tier. This is the tier that you know
Yes.
better than anybody, right?
Yes.
So obviously it looks a little different than last season. But you probably have the best. I mean, you watch more of it than anybody else. So
I would
what?
hope so.
What are you feel like? Who do you feel like in tier 5 is somebody to like watch out for?
To watch out for in tier 5, I'd definitely say I have some guys that are gonna always be improving, and like I'm gonna love watching them, see them progress throughout the season, which is like Jay Morrison, Nikki G, and I just want to see Midnight do well this season. He had a pretty unlucky season last season, I could say. So those guys are kind of
Well, man,
keep your eye on, watch their
what about
improvement and
me?
whatnot.
What about me, man?
Yeah, what
Come
about
on, no,
MRK?
man, no,
Ah,
you guys.
Give
Okay,
our
I see.
MRK some
I'm
love.
seeing it. I'm seeing it. It's all right. It's all right. I got you, Semtex. I got you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. So would you say then that like the way that you're feeling about tier 5, you would think some of the returning guys actually have a leg up over some of the new drivers? Is that kind of the feeling you have going into the season? So like for example, I know there's some hype around like Kiss My Axe and Days Freak, and then obviously, Shuggy mentioned Corny Table. Do you think that, especially early in the season, that drivers that have the experience probably have the leg up, and then maybe they catch up during the season,
Honestly,
or you just like them in general?
I just like them in general, honestly. But the new drivers honestly are gonna probably do better in this first race because they're gonna be honestly more scared, right? And just want to finish the race. Whereas the returning drivers already have like the racing experience in MRL and kind of don't care as much as the first race as maybe like they still care obviously, but like the new drivers really care. It's their first race in a new league, whatnot. So they're really going to try and finish that race, and it's going to help them out scoring points, especially at Singapore. So they honestly might have the upper leg for the new guys, but later out through the season, I think the returning guys are gonna be doing well.
Okay. All right. And then, so Mage, this is your first stint in MRL, but obviously you've commentated a lot of time, a lot of races over a long stretch here. What do you, so as from your vantage point, um, I can look at this list and I see some drivers that are very aggressive in this tier. So from a commentator, is that easy to pick out? Which drivers may be a little too aggressive, and maybe there's a reason why they stick in the lower tiers. Is that something easy that you can see from your perspective?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, when it comes to being aggressive, you need to know the right time and the right place to be aggressive. For example, trying to overtake someone in the S's at Monza, not a good spot to be aggressive. But if you're going to turn one, sure, you can get away with that. Again, it's all about the right time and right place. But I would say the most important thing I feel to advance into tiers in any league is consistency. You need to be able to perform well and continuously do that over and over and over again. You can't just flip flop between winning and then DNFing the next race. So
Right. And so I don't know if you've had a chance to view a lot of the chats, and this is something that I noticed from my level is that for some guys they seem to be very focused on time trial times, and where you have old timers that couldn't give a damn about their time trial times, right? Because
Oh
for
yeah.
me, from my perspective, it doesn't, what I put in a time trial, would help, but it's not going to be any, me living on the edge is not going to help me in a race. I need to find the fastest stable setup I can find, right? So
Oh
maybe
yeah,
that's
of
just
course.
different perspectives, but like you're right? You need that consistency to move up the tiers.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
like you said, it's not so clear cut when it comes to time trials and everything. I mean, it's just like how in real life Formula One, like let's take a look at Yuki Tsunoda. He's only gotten 1 point this season. Objectively, it will look quite bad, but of course, he's in arguably the worst car and has been in the points or just on the verge of it, showing he's been performing actually really well. So the time trials, I think some people can look at that and overestimate or underestimate the time trials because I know that there's some drivers who just struggle in TTs. And then when it comes to races, they do incredible. And then with other people, it's the opposite, where they're TT merchants, and then in the race, they have very poor racecraft and struggle.
Yeah, I just looking at this list here in tier 5, For me, I think the fastest one lap paced driver in Tier 5 is Diego Lego. About how many races can he finish? How many races can he finish without getting penalized? Like, that's the sort of things I think. So then you pivot to what Semtex is saying. Somebody like, Midnight might not be the fastest driver on the grid, but will probably finish more races. So how does that affect you, at the end of the season when everything, shakes out, right? So I'll just lead. If anybody else has any input, here's my top three drivers for next season. This will be my prediction for next season. I'm going with without including my team. I'm going to try not to include my team in any of these because they're the best and probably going to win every race forever, and they're awesome. But that not included, my three drivers I am going to predict to be the top. I'm going to predict Kiss My Axe. I'm going to predict Days Freak, and then I'm going to take where's it? Bouncy drop. Oh, Bouncy's on my team, not Bouncy. Here's my driver to watch. This will be my third guy. I think it could have a good season. There's a couple that I think really could end up in the top 5, but the two I really like are Welshie, who I know has been grinding and has come back and it's been really good. And then the guy that is my sleeper pick here is Michigan fan. So those are some names for everybody. Looking to hear me say their names. That's what I'm looking at. Does anybody else want to come in and get destroyed here in 10 weeks when somebody pulls a video and realizes all of our predictions?
Yeah, I got something. I've been contracted to say Alpine is going to win every tier.
Yes. Okay. I understand. Yes.
Yeah,
I get it.
I fully get the terrible predictions. I run my own podcast covering the F1 season. I predicted that Williams was going to get last, and considering the way AlphaTauri is, I kind of screwed up there. Yeah.
Okay. How about for constructors for Tier 5?
I think
I'll
McLaren.
get. You like McLaren? You like the Bugatti? Who do we drop down there? Who's with Bugatti right now? Bugatti
And Pooltown.
Yeah, I think Pooltown was moved up, right? No,
No,
Pooltown was moved
Pooltown's
up.
in Tier 5.
Striker's down. Striker's now.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's Bugatti and Striker now in McLaren. Pooltown's moved up to Tier 4. Haas.
Okay.
So, but you still like Bugatti to pull it out. I like the experience of the Haas team with Midnight and Matt. I like the pace probably of the Mercedes. And then with Kiss My Axe and Corny Table. And then actually the pace of the Williams Bops put together, Freak and Kanzi. Those are going to be my three predictions for Tier 5 constructors. Anybody else want to name their top 3 for constructors this season?
I think sitting in my third spot is going to have to actually be the Alpine team, though. I think Jay Morrison and Michigan fan are going to put it down for Alpine in Tier 5. Jay Morrison's
bias is real.
Just insane season last season after starting pretty much at the very back and then getting up into the podium spots later in the season. So he's definitely going to pull some points. But Michigan fan also looking fast after his slow start. So those two I think are gonna maybe grab third or fourth in the constructors, and other than that, I think it's kind of just a coin flip.
Yeah. From the little information that I do have, considering you just joined the league recently, from all the information that I've gathered, I would say the Haas, McLaren, and Mercedes lineups look the strongest potentially. Of course, it could play out very differently because again, I don't have much info, but with the info I do have, that's what I'd say.
I would say that the Ferrari is going to be the dark horse. You guys are cutting us out. No problem. But hey,
see,
we will show
it's
you
tough.
guys.
But it's tough to not pick your team, is it? Right? Like
No,
MRK, you have a good teammate, right? Like
yeah,
but it's tough not to talk about your team. I get it.
but that's fine.
Real quick before we move on to tier 4, there's a couple of folks in chat. So I've had a few questions on what the colors mean. This is just to keep everything. This is what I do in the off season while I'm moving people around up and down. Like it makes it easy for me to revision things. So like your blue color there is a captain. Your yellow is a new
Full-time.
full-time driver. A red, there you go. A red is down tier, green is up tier. We have the reserves at the bottom, and then as I'm formulating, I'll use this purple. This is a look behind the curtain. I'll use this purple to like list some bubble drivers that could go up or down or that sort of thing while I'm working this out. So that's kind of what that means there. And then one other shout out to Terp Charles because I changed his name to Terp Leclerc in chat about 3 weeks ago, and now it seems like he's just running with it. So shout out to him. But all right, so let's move on for sake of time. Let's move on to tier 4. We got some big daddies. We got some people dropping down. First of all,
Big Daddy Pogs.
Let's yes. First overall pick, if we're gonna go to high, like worst, if Yellow did the tier list of where people were drafted and at what spot, I fear I may have an F minus for being the first overall pick. Shout out to Yellow. But let's discuss the elephant in the room. Tier 4, Pete. Good call, bad call. Let's give him his 2 minutes of fame.
No comment.
What do you guys think? What do you think about Pete being in tier 4?
So I've not heard much about Pete, but from what I've heard that he can be fast, but also pretty inconsistent. But when I was drafting, I kind of thought that maybe I could help him with the consistency. And I drafted him tier 4, and that's what I've been doing all this morning.
And that's right? Like I think Mage said it earlier. So when we're crafting, tiers for a season, there's a lot of variables, right? There's time trial, there's fast 1-lap speed, there's how long you've been in a tier, how safe of a driver you are, how consistent you are. Like there's a lot of different factors that go into your end of placement, right? So yes, Pete finally got his wish. Although looking at the list, I don't know how much it helped him. Only because there's a lot of good drivers, obviously, in tier 4. So for the other drop downs, so Jim and Rage Quit. So we were the 4 that dropped down. 3 of us, at least, not including Pete, were probably the slowest drivers in the grid. And then, obviously, Kayla got a 4-time spot. So the 4 slowest drivers in tier 3 did get dropped down. Any thoughts about our 4 old person slow pack we have going here, dropping to tier 4?
Jim and you are gonna run it up together again. That's all I want to see.
That's the dream. I am very curious later to see, because it's been so long. I've raced so many seasons where I'm never in the top 10 of a time trial or of a qualifying. So I'm just curious to see if Jim and I can finally break in, like if we could just like start middle of the pack for races. Same thing with Andy, same thing with Kayla. Are we going to be able to crack the middle of the pack for qualifying? That's kind of what I'm interested in for later. But those were the guys that dropped down. How about the guys that have moved up? So Pat the Rock, Terp Leclerc, our Tier 5 champion Echo, Deathman, and Gwenfro. Which driver there do you think is going to have the best season, guys?
I think Echo Alex might have the best season. He's pretty sure the Tier 5 champion. So I think he might have a good season there, but he's got to adjust to some faster guys than Tier 5. So I'm not sure how he'll do with that, but from what I've seen in Tier 5, I think he'll do really good.
It's
different, right? It's
on that
Terp.
one because like Terp's battled more people in Tier 5 and still showed he had the pace with Alex. Giving him a bit of a fight there at the end of the championship, and he reserved up in Tier 4 a couple times last season and was doing fairly decent. He just made some mistakes and like spun, which cost him like good points in Tier 4 last season. So yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the difference, right? So when you've just gone a whole season mostly running at the front of a pack and you get moved up and all of a sudden you're in the middle of packs, right? And you're battling guys instead of just being able to go out there and run 28 time trial laps over and over again, right? It's different. So I like those. I mean, I think that, I think they had good pay. There was a clear division last season in Tier 5, and I think, those were the guys, and I think they're all being rewarded this season. Does anybody have any predictions? So give me your top 3 drivers from this tier this season. Anybody?
I'll start actually. So top 3 drivers, I think I'm going to pick some of the guys who've been dropped down a tier because if they're at the bottom of Tier 3, then they have to be somewhere at the top of Tier 4 is my thinking. So I think maybe Jim. Who else went down? Jim, Pogs, you, and I forget who the third person was, but I think all the
There's
Rage
Rage Quit, Pete, and Kayla.
So I'm gonna ignore Pete because I'm gonna be biased, but I think Rage Quit as well. I know he's a fan favorite, and I think he'll be also up there at the top.
It'd be great to see Rage Quit win the Tier 4 championship, I gotta say.
Everyone would love that.
I'll let it be known that Jim has not ever beat me in a season. We've raced in the same tier every season, so I will be hugely disappointed if Jim beats me this year.
So
all right.
For me and others wondering, when did Fnatic get jumped in there, and what team is she?
Sure. Okay. So we had So we had a driver. So we had Dido in that position. Dido said he did not mean to sign up for a full-time spot.
Oh.
And Kayla sacrificed herself before the draft so everybody could get a chance to race and said, hey, I'll just be a reserve. That way folks can can get an opportunity to race, right? Because we only have a certain amount of spots. And more or less Dido had thought that he signed up or didn't think he signed up for full time. Kayla was signed up for full time, and that's probably where she was going to be slotted anyway. So we just went ahead and made the switch. That way somebody couldn't, we didn't want to force Dido into like racing. We didn't really want to just to like avoid a ban, right? You'd rather want to have somebody that's there. So that's it. That's basically what happened with that. Toby thinks it's rigged for Mercedes, just like real life. So that battle's been going on in principal chat in the last 3 days.
Classic Red Bull Mercedes banter. Nothing new.
But any other predictions from anybody? And I'll give mine if you don't have them. No? Okay. So I think I've talked about this before. Zoso had the most polls in Tier 4 last season. He would have internet connections or have different things that would happen to him. And I'm not sure what exactly, he was having all these issues. I can't imagine he has the same thing this season. So I'm going to pick him as one of the top 3 drivers, only because I can't see how he'll get as unlucky as he was last season. I like my former driver. I like Ninja. I think he had a learning curve with driving with other drivers around him, but I think he showed really good pace. And I also looking at this list, I kind of feel lollipops as well. Those are the three drivers I'm going to pick out of tier 4. But I think tier 4 will be the closest tier of all the tiers. So that would be my prediction on drivers. How about constructors? Anybody? What constructors are you guys feeling for tier 4?
I've been eyeing up Red Bull's constructor for the tier 4. I think Rich Quick and Lollipops, they seem really fast. They're probably
Yeah,
gonna be
I
top.
like that as well.
Yeah, I think Toby's got a great team with those two there in tier 4.
Yeah, I think Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin both have potentially good lineups. I mean, obviously, if Jim and Pogs are both put down a tier, then that means they were already solidly quick in the upper tier. So they're already going to be hitting the ground running. And also Aston Martin had a good season last season, from what I know. And Pete, from what I've heard, is quick as well. So I think both lineups could put in some work.
All right. How does anybody feel about the McLaren drafting two guys? So Pun drafting Echo and Deathman, both from tier 5 into tier 4. Like they're both new, rocking two new tiered drivers. How do you guys think that's going to work out?
Well, Deathman's a returnee for Punju's team, and he did wonders for him in tier 5 last season. So, I mean, it's always got to be confident in the guy you had last season, right? So,
Yeah.
there's that with Deathman, and then Alex obviously showed his pace in tier 5, so there's a good chance he does well.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty solid picks.
Yeah, there is a risk, of course, with getting two brand new drivers into a new tier for them. But I mean, I think it's a risk that could very well pay off. So
I think the same as well. And I think I'm not too much worried about Echo, but Desmond really had the pace. But if he can, remove some of the error he made sometime on a race, he should be right next to Deco Alex as well.
All right. Oh, I also saw in chat somebody had mentioned AlphaTauri has two rookie drivers in tier 4. So that's another kind of a big risk, right?
Well, I would say a bigger risk than the McLaren pair, because they've at least had some experience in, albeit in a lower tier, but still some experience in racing in this league. And I feel like a lot of leagues race just a little differently, I guess you could say. So
yeah,
two brand new drivers into a tier, definitely a risk. I mean, we've seen in real life, for example, with the 2021 Hats lineup, how two rookies can definitely not pay off. But obviously, this is online league racing, very, very different, so it very well could pay off.
Right. I agree. And thank you for the compliment. It's the first time I have ever heard the word quick used in the same sentence as Jim and Pog. So appreciate that one. All right. So let's move on to tier 3. Obviously, for what I can tell, people were spooked about tier 3. Like,
I think it's an exciting tier.
I agree.
Yeah, when people
People
started people started seeing the names, they were like, "Oh shit! Oh, that person's there. Oh, that person's there. Oh, well, I thought I was gonna be a top of tier 3. Now I'm not so sure. So, what do you guys think's causing that? Like, what names are causing that? Why are people like, oh no?
Well, I mean, you have almost half the team principals in one tier. I mean, that alone is going to be a lot, and then a bunch of other names in here. I think tier 3 is a safe choice for being the most dramatic tier this season.
Yeah, I got some big names, as like a few of these guys I've driven quite a lot against, like NCAF, Drunken Shamrock, Jwipsy, Punju, obviously. Those guys are going to be some big names thrown around in tier 3, I think, for sure. Love to see like a nice title fight between maybe Jwipsy and Punju, and some other guys hop in there and have like a 4 or 5 way fight for the championship. But There's some
And it's
awesome names in here.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you just listed off 5 guys' names, right, that you thought may compete for the
Yeah,
championship. And I could give you 5 more that I wasn't even thinking of those names. I'm looking at 5 other names in this tier that
exactly.
that could
This
be,
like
Exactly.
you know
this
what I
series
mean? So
It's
like,
very
crazy.
tight. It
um,
really
all
is.
right. So we have the 2 drivers that are dropping down. Well, if we have 3, so we have Pun, and Calf and Drunken Shamrock. Who do we like? Pun, obviously, that's what I've heard coming out of that. Obviously, NCAF and Drunken Shamrock have been doing this for a long time, so they have a lot of experience, which will help. Um, what do we think about the drivers moving up? So we have JT, uh, be dripping. So listen, I'll just give this out for the chat because I'm old. Up until the draft show, I didn't know it was JTB dripping. I would always call this guy JT bed ripping. Uh,
Oh
I didn't
man,
get
That,
it
that
because
is
that
listen,
killed
because I
Discord,
rely on
Bowser.
all of you kids to keep me up on lingo. Like this has been my part of
dog.
leagues forever. So like this is where when the word lit became popular, that's where I learned that. Like things like this, I have to pick up from you guys so I can just like
For
keep my
real, for
cool
real.
edge in life. But so we have him, we have Dutch, Benzo, and Junior Par. Do we like
Also
any of those
Websy.
names? Oh yeah, and do we have like any of those names to compete for the championship at all?
I think Juepsi has potential. Obviously, Dutchman was around his pace last season. Um, JP as well. I mean, there's another three for you right there that were all fighting for a championship in four, and I think could also be fighting for one in tier three.
I think
How do
Maverick
we like?
Williams
We
has a
couldn't leave them
shot.
both out, right? So like, how do we feel about the rivalry continuing between Dutch and Jay Wepsy into this season?
I think they'll be good.
Do we think will they find each other on track today,
I
or
mean, it's almost like they have to, right?
yeah?
Especially with the ending to their final race. I think they're bound to find each other on track and have a good battle. Hopefully a
Well,
clean
All right.
one.
well,
I've
yeah, but
heard
it's at
some.
Singapore, so I mean, whatever battle it's gonna be, because of the nature of the track, both of them will be having to drive really aggressive if they hope to make an overtake here. So
Yeah,
it'll be
even
interesting to see
just
how that
a
plays
nice
out.
little like two-car train with those two, just kind of bumper to bumper on each
Yeah,
other
I don't
for a
think they're
while.
going to
That's
be
good.
afraid to make a move. Well, maybe Dutch will be afraid to make a move. I think if Wepsy sees one, he might go for it. But but if Dutch might have a second thought today. Okay, so those are some of the new guys. I'll give you the top
Um,
3 that I have going into this season. Guys, I like. I like Scruffy again, who really did well last season. That's a name that we haven't talked about yet. Yeah, amongst all the other names, I like Ducati, obviously. Coming back, had a really good season in this tier. And then I like Amaromomo, Amaramo,
Omar Moore.
um, just on pace
Omaromo
alone.
Shinderu.
Yep.
Amushi Marmo on pace alone. Give us your top 3, guys. Let's hear it. Who's got a top 3 for me?
Now, this
I'm
may be a bit biased, but I have Ducati, Dutchman, and then Punju, my top three. Because
Okay.
I feel
interesting.
because I feel Ducati, I'm pretty sure he won the Tier 3 championship last season, if I'm correct. And I feel like he'd be at the top again. All these new guys are going to have to try and fight with the old guy to try and get the title. I have Dutchman there because he is a not returning. I mean, he's going up a tier. So I think the first couple races it might be a little hard for him to adjust, but I feel he'll be up there again. And then Punju, who's going down a tier, he was pretty fast in tier 2, more towards the lower half of the field. But I think in tier 3 is his happy place, and I think he's gonna be up there fighting for the title again.
All
Nice.
right.
Yeah.
I got a just a bold one person prediction that's gonna just clear out this championship. I mean, it might not be a blowout or anything, but I think there's good potential. Drunken Shamrock's gonna take home this
Yep.
championship. If I'm
Yep.
being honest with you.
I agree with that. I agree 100% with that. I was thinking the same thing. Duncan Shamrock and yeah, maybe Dugardi and Banju behind him, but I'm sure Duncan Shamrock, I have high expectation for him in tier 2 this season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. I do think though, Epic wins if he fixes his consistency issues. If he manages to do that, I think he can be a force to be reckoned with in the title fight as well.
So what I've heard is about 18 of the 20 names can all win the championship in tier 3. Is that
Correct.
about right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay. All
that's a
right.
great thing to hear, to be honest, knowing that it's going to
Yeah, it
be
is.
that competitive by so many people's opinions. So
Yeah.
that's a great problem to have, I would say.
I like it. Give me some constructors thoughts. Give me who do we think is going to be at the top of this tier as teammates?
Ferrari, I think, looks great.
All
Again, if
right.
Epic Wins gets that consistency up, I think Ferrari's going to look good. Let's see here. Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin, I think, all look quite good.
Toby's going off in chat. We haven't talked about him, but I think you're you're not one of the 18, Toby.
But
Oh if I were to give
goodness.
if I were to give my top 3 constructors, they go to Ferrari, Red Bull, and then Alfa. So I feel
Okay.
the Red Bull team do have a really strong lineup. I think I'm not sure what Toby's pace is, but I remember Papa was also fighting Ducati for the championship last year,
He
or not last year,
was,
last
right?
season.
And we haven't even mentioned
Exactly.
him. You're right. I mean, he was right up there too, on top of tier 3, and we haven't even said his name, right? So, at least we know that one half of that Red Bull team should be competitive this season.
I had
Um,
Yellow up there too.
We're talking about Toby's
Ducati.
teammate, correct?
yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Who else did you say you had up there?
I had so Ferrari and then Red Bull because I think Ducati and Epic wins. They're probably the strongest out there. And then if I'm going to take my team aside, maybe I'm pretty sure Alfa Romeo also has a pretty strong lineup as well.
All right. Yeah. I like a lot of teams. This is the problem, right? When nobody said Wiffle's name, and people were shouting at the top of their like lungs last season that he was going to absolutely destroy everybody because everybody thinks he's very quick over one lap, right? So like nobody's even mentioned him. I like the Ducati wins only because they've been here already, right? They've done this. They were on, near the top, and now they're teammates. I do like the Jordan and Scruffy combination. Myself, I think that's going to be really good. And then I like the Skelly and Vince. Named Vince, we haven't talked about either. But as a team, Vince could be another guy that's one of the new guys that could go in and, I don't think we're gonna have a Marcus Lib situation, but there are some new guys that have pace, and we don't know how this is gonna shake out for a few more hours. So, all right, well, that was tier 3.
Yeah, we need to move
Let's.
on here. Tier 5's hour away.
Yep.
I know. Let's get to tier 2. Tier 2, right? So we've got some oldies dropping down, right? So we have Ebby Jacobson and Maud, Chili, Atmos. George came in late. How do we feel about those 5 names dropping down in this tier?
Like kind of scared, but
Yeah, so you're in this tier.
Yeah.
I assume this is also an oh shit, this guy is in this tier kind of moment for you as
I
well.
gotta say, I don't know Atnus at all really, but I'm gonna say Chili Willy, and I don't know Echo or Landsharky, but those guys could be quick. But yeah, Chili and Atmos I'm kind of scared of because I don't know Atmos at all, but I know Chili I've raced with and he's fun to race with, but he's quick.
Mage and I know a
Yes.
bit about Atmos.
Yeah. So I honestly forget about Atmos.
Atmos can be. I had a couple run-ins with him last season in Tier 1. He can be. He's not the fastest, but he's also not the most consistent. But on his
Okay,
day, he
yeah.
could be there.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I wasn't 100% certain. I remember the consistency, but I remembered him being quicker than that, I guess.
He can be quick, definitely, but there are many races where his consistency kind of just drags him down.
My prediction for whoever's gonna win tier 2 is just always having a solid qualifying and being consistent in the race, because qualifying is gonna mean so much in this tier with everyone being so close, I think.
I do
Yeah.
agree. Being able to start first and then, if you can, run away with it out the gate, I think that's the best case scenario. Because in this tier, there are two drivers in particular who I think drive quite aggressively. In one case, perhaps a little too much. Those two being Kermit and JJo. Kermit is a very aggressive driver, which
I can
sometimes
definitely agree on that one.
yeah, that sometimes that works out really well, and he pulls off some stellar moves. Other times, he sends it a bit too hard and ends up in the nearest wall and potentially taking another driver with him. JJo, similar, albeit on a less extreme scale. He's not as aggressive, but he's also not as volatile, I guess you could say. But
Mhm.
both of them are, regardless, very rapid.
Definitely have quick pace.
Yeah, I like for the drop downs, Chili is pretty scary, I think, in this tier. It could have been argued maybe that he stayed up and Bop stayed in tier 2. However, we do like to give people that are on top of their tiers, we would like to give them opportunities when possible, right, to prove
Yeah, either
themselves.
way, I think they're about the same
So,
pace, right?
yeah, so like I like Chili. Nobody's talked about our good stewarding friend in tier 2, Mr. Mod.
Yep, I was thinking
I
the
know
same.
he's been at the I know he's been at the back half of tier 1 the last few seasons, but it's not like Mod's slow. You know what I mean? He still can race pretty effectively. I think he'll score a lot of points. He might not win it, but I think he may finish the season in the top 5 here. Um, for the new guys, Echo, Landshark, ASAP, and Akela. So I think ASAP is Andy, right? I think that's his name. So I think the three fastest time trials in this tier are Landsharky, Andy, and Chili, if I remember correctly, on strict 1 lap pace. So there is a couple new guys that could have some pace here. So and then I like Andy out of those. I like my my teammate. I think Landsharky should be pretty quick. I think Echo should be pretty quick with the new guys. What do you guys think about the new full timers for this season?
Scared.
Scared, don't like it. Not a fan.
I do have some words on Chili. Having raced with him in tier 1, he was always fighting for probably the bottom half of the points, which was pretty far up the field. So if I was a tier 2 driver, I would be very scared.
Yeah, he's
I'm
gotten
scared.
faster, but he's also safe.
You don't have to sell me on it.
I'm scared. I don't. Just change your Discord name to "Don't Like It." Iron Iron just wants us to say his name, so I will just say Iron. Iron. That is your name, with no feedback at all.
From you.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, it is. It's gonna be tough for folks. Kermit's been around for a while. City of Ours showed good pace last season. Gibbsy's still a person, that has speed. B. Cole's is still a person that has speed. Like, it's going to be really competitive. So, let's hear some. Give us your top 3. Yes, and yours as well. Give us your top 3 drivers for that tier.
Alright.
Semtex. Sorry, wait, what? No. Yeah, I think Chili's gonna bring that one home. I have no idea about MB Jacobson, to be honest with you. And then I think some of the guys that are staying in here might have some better luck this season, like JJ. He might put it up in second, and Kermit in like third. But we'll see how their races finish.
For me, the top 3, I'm gonna put Chili number 1, but for number 2, and this is from a non-biased point, I would put JJ. I have raced with him a lot, especially in FRL, and I feel he's really fast. So
I
I would
agree.
put him number 2 as well. And for number 3, I'm not 100% sure who to put number 3. Maybe Kermit if he can stay consistent. But there are so many other drivers in this tier that could go to number 3, so it's kind of hard to choose.
Yeah, for
Okay, I
me,
find it interesting that this is the only tier that we've kind of had a unanimous love for one particular driver, right? So this is the only one that everybody's like, yeah, I really like Chili. I really like this one driver a lot to pull away or to do some things. Anybody else? Or I'll go over mine.
I think I will go for me for Jejo. I guess last season he had a lot of bad luck, but seeing how he's really fast on during qualification, so I think he will. I hope for him to have a great season. So I'm gonna go for Jejo for this, and one
All
of
right.
our Ferrari driver GBTC, I guess, 07.
I
All
may
right.
note our media director has joined the call.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
He exists. So
Oh, it's
the
untrue.
memes in chat today were like, Pun's gonna wake up like
and
Undertaker in the coffin and look around and be like, "What the hell is happening
Our
in?"
unsanctioned event that I got dragged into after waking up.
I don't know if you guys could hear. I was trying to play it loud enough, but I was playing the champ is here
oh,
sound. But I don't know.
Oh, Frick, what's going on, Pun?
Yes.
Welcome.
Hello, guys. Good morning. Well,
morning.
Good morning.
not
Well, it's
morning
good
for most
afternoon
of you
now.
guys. It's morning for me. Yes. How you guys doing? It sounds like we're doing a prediction stream.
We are. We're on to tier 2. We've covered a lot. For tier 2, it sounds like people are just as scared of all the tier 2 drivers as they are of tier 3. It seems like pretty much folks are unanimous. The name that we've heard the most on top of this list is Chili Willy. Do you have 3 drivers that you like in tier 3? Like if you were gonna give us your top, or in tier 2, if you were gonna give us your top 3 in tier 2, who would they be?
Yeah, absolutely. So B Cole's number 1, Atmos number 2, and then somebody irrelevant number 3. I'm pretty sure.
Like
Beacles and
irons?
Atmos, your teammates?
Definitely not biased. Definitely not biased.
No. They're
Yeah.
not my team.
Okay. All right.
You
So
didn't
we were
notice
trying
that.
to avoid that. They've been pretty good, and then Pun's like, "My team, my team."
My team,
Just
yep.
basically my team.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
100%. I'm gonna win the championship tier 1.
Well,
Name is on top already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, actually, genuinely though, I really genuinely do think B Cole's like out of my bias. There's a reason why I picked him. So, and then I would say his challengers potential are
Numerous.
pretty numerous.
Yeah.
For tier 2, we can stay away from people like Irons. He'll be bottom half. Just kidding, Irons. Just happy to
Or
roast.
irons.
Happy to roast.
The slander is
I
real.
think Chili's got a shot up there, and City of R or Mod are also pretty good picks. They're ones that I'd be a little bit, if I was on the grid with them, I'd say, whoa. And then also, I still think Atmos, genuinely, like, I really do think those two have like a solid shot every single week. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like with you guys. I like the Chili pick. I'm a big fan. So he would be in my top 3. I like Andy ASAP FFX coming in as if he makes all the races. I think that's a really good pick. I also, for my third pick, I'm kind of feeling MB Jacobson. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of feeling Jacobson. I just know he's gonna score a bunch of points. But yeah, so that's where we're at for tier 2. Give us let's look at the constructors now. Let's get some predictions for the constructors here.
Aston P1.
Aston P1. So you like JoJo and Akela only because that's your team. Got it. No, so I'll give you. I like really though looking at the team that has a chance to bring home the most points. I know Pun came in and was like McLaren. It really could be Beacles and Atmos. So
Yeah.
they have a really good opportunity to score a lot of points. I'd like to go with experience with this. What two drivers, right, can capitalize? Alpine, Semtex, and Gibbsy have been here for a long time. Those guys can definitely rack up some points as a pair. And then, I think Chile and Iron, we're Iron will probably be in top 5 or top 10 in points. Chile compete for the championship. That's going to add a lot of points. So, what else? Like, give me some of your predictions for tier 2 constructors.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, not everybody all at once, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
no, speaking, I'm gonna start with this. If I'm gonna be non-biased, I do think that I think Ferrari has a solid chance. I think Mod is very consistent. He may not be the fastest all the time, but he's very consistent. Williams for sure with Chili and Iron. Those two are probably going to be up there as well. And for third, I agree with Punju with B Souls and Atmos. They're probably going to also be up there fighting for the constructors. And this tier is just me very fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be down to the fact that some people that are used to pushing super hard in tier 1 aren't going to have to push quite as hard as they're used to, which means they're going to be able to be a little bit more consistent, which is why I'm looking so heavily at Atmos and Chili Willy.
For sure. All right. Final tier, the big boys.
I'm gonna run quick. I gotta set up for tier 5, so
Yeah,
don't
me
forget
too.
to
See you,
do that.
Wesley.
I'm gonna run too.
Thanks for having me on. Good
All
luck.
right, boys.
All right,
Let's
And
guys.
cover
little plug, remember, tier 1 stream starts in an hour. Everybody have a
1
good-
hour, 15 minutes. We'll see everybody there. All right, guys. So let's talk about the new full-time drivers we have in tier 1. So that's going to be Ghostly, Minico, Estabania, 5 Stig, Yelad, Bops, and Braided Axe. So 2 of those guys are coming up from tier 2, which is going to be very difficult, right? We know how difficult the transition is from coming from the top of tier 2 to tier 1. But what about the new drivers specifically, the new full-time Ghostly, Minico, Estabania, Stig, and Yelad?
Why, lad?
Why lad? So
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught this. We had a discussion about how old I am earlier. I didn't realize until the chat, like until we were doing the stream the other night, Pun. What's the guy's name? JT be drippin'.
Yeah.
I called him JT bed rippin' because I'm old up until like a week
Wow.
ago when we did this thing. Yeah, I didn't know. We had a thing. They've already made fun of me, but
Wow.
bro.
Yeah, I think the name is actually pronounced Estenba and not Estebania.
Yeah,
I think
it is
it's
Estenba.
Estabania. I don't
Yeah.
care. Like I run the league, so I'm gonna call you what I feel like. Okay, so no, I'm just kidding. I'll work on it. I'll work on all of your names. I'm glad I don't do this on a regular basis, or I'd be like midnight and calling everything Ashton Martin. Okay, so the new
I have a friend who does that too. I want to like kill him every time. He calls it like Alfa
new drivers.
Romero.
Who do we think? I mean, I think 3 of those names stand out to me hugely. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's Minico, dude. It's Minico. Like, he is. The first time he jumps in to race with us, he puts it in P2 in qualifying. Are you kidding me?
That's my
Like,
driver.
That's nuts. So, I mean, I've always been a Minico fan ever since I commentated with him in BRL. Like, I've been a big fan of his. So, he's not just got the good voice; he's got the good speed, and he is freaky when he's on track. He's quick. I also really like out of those new ones. I like Estemba and Wylad. I've seen Wylad race with us before. He did pretty well in his tier 1 debut. Consistent points I fully expect out of him, and same thing with Estemba. I'm just excited to see if he keeps it consistent or if he ends up being a bit of a wrecking ball.
Yeah, and this is the tier that you get graced with. You get to see the
Yeah.
highest class of racing that we have every single week. You get to know these drivers probably better than anybody else, pun. Um, so when you have a name, you're like, oh, this guy. I haven't heard you talk about anybody that's come to the league outside of maybe Atlas in the same way.
What do you mean? Like compared to like what I say
Like,
about Minico?
yeah, I've not heard
Yeah.
heard that in your voice outside of maybe Atlas is the only person I've ever heard you like, oh, we got a dude.
And minus his not ability to race because of the time zones. Was I right or was I right?
Yeah, no, he was a scary ass driver.
He was savage.
Yeah,
Savage. So I
him
mean, like,
and
yeah.
yeah. So that's who you guys like. I was really curious about Wylad out of the new drivers, just because his times, like, I think he was the mid 114s on what's the first track we were running. I don't remember but it just jumped off the page. So that's somebody I was looking like forward to right off the jump. Like, I'm like, oh shit. Do you think that any of these drivers can compete for a championship? Any of the new ones?
Um, I depend. I think depending on the counter, like we have yet to see how they do at certain tracks. Because let's be honest, there are some tracks that are just conducive to some people, and some tracks that just don't fit for your driving style. I have yet to see what that's going to be like for someone like Wylad, but obviously, I think he's got a shot if it ends up being that a lot of these tracks are relatively conducive to him. And same thing with Minico. I'm gonna hype him up forever and ever. Hopefully he's watching because he deserves it. Because holy smokes, can he be the guy on his day?
All right. So you're excited for tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is the most competitive upper, like top tier one that we've ever had? I mean, would that be a safe assumption?
By a long shot. I don't think I've ever seen it to where we have, in my opinion, a solid, 8 to 12 people that can compete for a win every week.
So I like this group. Here's my top three. Here's my predictions. I don't think you could leave Giants fan off of a top three. I really like Giants fan to come out and to continue what he's been doing. But that
Speaking of
being
which,
said,
I'm about to upload a little YouTube short for everybody just to show exactly how fast Giants fan is.
right,
It's
I've
unreal.
watched him drive. I don't understand how he can keep some of the lines he does. Like, he's an Xbox driver. There's no
Correct.
shenanigans, right? Like,
It's
but
just
his ability to stick lines is disgusting.
Yeah, that's it. And he even has the racing line on, but he straight up ignores it. Like, I don't even know why he has it on anymore because he doesn't use it at all. And he's faster.
No, there was a track. You're right. There was a track. It might have been Spain last year, and he took the most ridiculous line into a corner I'd ever seen, and was just nailing it. I mean, it was so far off the racing line, I couldn't believe it, and it was just, gaining time, gaining pace on it. But you're right, he doesn't care. But you're right, he just doesn't use it. So,
yeah. But he still runs it on, so he sees it when he's driving. He's just not paying attention to it. I swear.
But so I like Giants fan. I am going to shy away from the new drivers, even though they have pace, because I think experience matters here. I think what Zylo did at the end of last season, I know that's, he's part of my team, but what he was able to accomplish at the last season, I think that puts him up there as a favorite. Obviously, this season.
For those of you guys that missed it, I think he had one of my favorite overtakes of the season, which was a double out of turn 2 in Australia. That was unfreaking real.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he went into tier 1 and into turn 1 3 wide and made it out on top of the 2 that were in front of him.
I'm impressed he made it out alive. Wow.
I was crazy, dude. I was like, how does he know how to do this? It was nuts. Yeah. So he's scary always.
And, and then my third, the man stuck with this league for so many seasons. He finally got off of his McDonald's Wi-Fi internet, and he showed up in a big way last season. It was Jack. Those were the three that were super competitive last season. I don't see any reason why they won't all three be just as competitive again this season. So those are my top three picks for tier one. How about you guys?
Honestly, I 120% agree. Like, I don't think I could make a difference. Those three are just like the top of tier one. It's kind of hard to go and defeat them. So, seeing a new driver coming into tier one is probably going to be like the most sketchy of them all. No pun intended. Because you're going up against these really fast drivers. So it might be the difficult tier to get used to for them.
Yeah, funnily enough, tier one has the most drivers that I'm familiar with a whopping 5 drivers that I know in this tier. But the drivers I do know, Sugi, Sketchy, Sebi, Ghostly, and Zeech. All of them I know to be quite rapid. But Sugi, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna call it like I see it. You do struggle sometimes with consistency, so does Ghostly. But
You're not wrong there, though. You're not wrong.
Sebi and Sketchy, a little bit less so, and both are really rapid. I often feel like the two of them are underestimated. Zeech, I think, is just accurately rated. He's a strong driver who can perform when it's his day.
Yeah, Zeech got himself a constructors championship, right? He got his name on the back of a shirt. So he's shout out to him and Sebi for last season. They stepped in and they performed pretty well. I don't think that they're the top of this tier one class, but definitely guys that'll compete for points. How about you, Pun? Who you're gonna call it tonight? You're gonna get a first hand look. Who are your top three for tier one this season?
I would say it's hard to pick 3 because you guys keep thinking that
I know.
it's just between a 3-horse race, but I really think that by the end of the season, with only 10, races, I fully expect there to be 5 to 6 people that are in, relative contention. I would say if I really had to go with the top 3, and it's hard to veer away from the 3 that you guys mentioned, but I really think that someone like Minico and again, it's all about the tracks that end up, if they're good for them or not. I think someone like Minico or Wylad have genuine shots. So I don't know if that's enough to knock down someone like Xylo or Giants fan because I don't think really anything is. It's just that I just don't think there's just 3. That's it.
Fair enough.
A couple notes I do want to mention though before. Sorry, so I remember the Punju ended up doing a 5-lapper lobby, and that was like my only chance to kind of like see who was fast for the season. And I raced against Minico, and he went straight to the top of my draft sheet.
It's unreal, dude.
And one last thing, Zeech, he's in the Mercedes. He's not happy. He hates the Mercedes, and this is his 3rd straight season in any league he's done that he's in the Mercedes. 2 seasons in FRL, and now in MRL, so he's not happy.
That's funny.
I like it. That happens, right? That's a part of the format. I think
he may not love Mercedes, but Mercedes loves him.
I think Toby is the same way. He might not love them, but Mercedes. We should get Toby some like Mercedes apparel or something.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. All right, so let's do constructors predictions for tier 1, and then let's give our overall constructors predictions, and then let's get out of here and get ready for some real racing. So, constructors, who do we like, guys? What 2 drivers?
Haas immediately. Because I know Giants fans from tier 1. He's really fast. He's tier 1 champion. He's obviously going to be up there in honestly carry any team. But Speedy Goose, he's been my teammate every season I've been here in MRL and AlphaTauri and in Alpine. He has progressed so much as a driver, and he is really
Yeah.
consistent. So having B. Jacobson, having Giants fan and Speedy Goose, I feel he can really count on those two to really bring home good performances. For the rest of the tier, though, I feel everything will be pretty, close together. You have Alfa Romeo with Xylo there and T-Ball. You have AlphaTauri with QRT Jack and Ghostly. Jack is fast. I also know Ghostly. He's fast. He may be inconsistent, but I feel AlphaTauri can also be pretty fast as well.
All right. Pun, what's your predictions here, my friend?
So when it comes to constructors for tier 1, I would say you got to give shouts to because I think that the top positions are going to be so dang close, and there's going to be different winners frequently. I think the people that have a stronger quote unquote second driver are going to be the ones that are going to do really well. So I'm looking at definitely Haas for sure, Alfa Romeo. I think myself and McLaren is a solid one. I think Aston Martin's got a pretty solid shot too. Yeah, if I was to pick out of those 4, I'm going to probably give it to a mix between Alfa Romeo and Haas, with myself coming in a close third.
Like, there's only 2 teams that I see that could potentially have 2 top 5 drivers in my mind. Well, there's 3, but really 2. I think the Aston Martin could have 2 top 5 drivers in Tier 1 with Shuggy and Minako. I know we're not supposed to talk too much about our teams, but I think it's definitely possible that Xylo and T-Ball could end up in the top 5 of this championship. And I also like, as the dark horse, Jack and Ghostly. Again, possible that they can rack up the points and have 2 top tier 5 drivers. Not like this is going to be a blowaway series at all, and really in any tier, but in this one as well. But that's what I like. So let's wrap this thing up. Give me 3 teams, not your team, that you think will have their names on the back of a tier 7 championship team constructors shirt at the end of this season, with all 5 tiers included. Give me the 3 teams that you think have the best shot at it.
I know Punji's gonna like this one. I'm gonna put McLaren. I like Williams as well and Ferrari. So McLaren, Williams, and Ferrari, ironically, all next to each other on the draft board. They all have some really fast drivers, some really consistent drivers. I feel those guys can be probably on the back of that season 7 T-shirt.
All right, Pun, how you feeling? Pun's gone. Pun's dead. Shiggy, MRK.
This
Anybody?
is me. Sorry, whoops. I accidentally muted myself.
You're okay.
Oh,
Well, I can't pick my own team, obviously, which means that whatever I say is going to be ingenuine. Just kidding. It'll be very genuine.
I understand.
No, I think
He muted himself again.
no. I'm just thinking and looking at this thing. It just looks very all over Ferrari for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, we all I think have settled on Ferrari pretty well.
What is it
surprisingly
about Ferrari? Is it just because you feel
It's all the way.
You guys feel like it's the most balanced?
It's top.
Mod,
It's top to bottom.
it's all because of Mod. He carries that team.
It's Mod. Okay, so
Well,
Ferrari
jokes
because
aside,
of Mod. Got it.
I think it's top to bottom. I think everything.
Okay.
I think everything they did, as a draft is great. I think Red Bull's got a shot, honestly, just because of it's the biggest wild card again, 2 seasons in a row. And then I'm looking at Haas. Let's say.
All right.
Yeah.
MRK, Shuggy, you got any predictions?
Thank you, bro. Yeah, I think for me it's gonna be British. I think McLaren have a and Alfa Romeo because I cannot say Ferrari, which I believe, but I think accepted us is should be McLaren and Alfa Romeo are up there.
All right. Sugar, you got any projections, bud?
I think if I'm going to choose one team who's gonna win the from all 5 tiers to win the whole thing, I'm actually gonna choose Haas because they have some pretty good drivers, and they also have. I think their tier 1 lineup is just really good. It's just too good. It's going to really help them.
All right. I like, in no particular order, I like what Jordan did at Mercedes. I also like, and then as the team that hasn't been mentioned very much, I really like their tier 2, their tier 3. I think they have an opportunity to score a lot of high end points, and then I'll play chalk with everybody else and take McLaren and Ferrari as well, across the board. So, all right, so that's it. Are you guys ready for today? Are you pumped?
I'm scared.
Tier
Were we
5 gonna be
scared?
fun.
Tier 5, 30 minutes from now, guys.
Yep, I gotta go
We
get
got
ready.
tier 5 coming up for you guys. The media team has been working super hard. Pun in particular has really stepped up for this league media wise. I haven't had a chance to say this, so I'll tell you guys now. He's done such a good job of bringing us to where we are now. Everything's going according to plan and probably better. Things are just rolling there. So, if you guys are in chat, shout out Pun. In Discord, shout out Pun. He's done an amazing job. But not just him. The rest of the media team has really been working overtime to give you guys a really good experience today. And for the rest of the season. So I'm really pumped to see what they're going to bring out today. Anything else? Anybody have anything in closing?
Nope.
Nah, thanks, man. That was very sweet of you.
I have
Makes me
one.
Let's
cry.
have some fun this season.
I have one
Yeah,
closing to say and one statement to make because Sam Tex and everybody think like I want to do well in tier 5. I will have fun this season showing them they are wrong.
dang, MRK's got the chip on his shoulder. Let's go.
That's
Hey,
true.
and thank you guys all for being here. MRK, I don't know how to end the stream. So
I will do
whenever
it.
you feel like you
Yeah.
want to do it, let's do it. We'll catch everybody today.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Good
Have
luck,
fun
tier
today.
5.